Okay. Intuition quadrant, 7 points intuition, 2 points thinking, 0 sensation, 3 feeling. Okay, so it's intuition, just her instincts, her intuition, but where she's coming from, what she's got to do, what she do. She's very strong that way in projecting where she's coming from. Her weak spot, the sensation, is the sensibility, the interaction with others. She's so busy doing things and being creative, projecting things. She's not so good at just sitting and taking and responding to everyone else or to other people so well. So she's the leader, not the follower. Okay, angular succeeding cadent again, 3 succeeding, 4. Here the angular is a little stronger, but they're all there, 3 succeeding, 4 cadent. But in the signs it was 6 fixed, and then the cadent and the cardinal and mutable were both fairly strong. So determined, driving, and adaptable. Here it's driving, it's being somebody and adapting when necessary, when one has to succeed. So being, having, and knowing how to use what you have. So being is a strong point. Having is not as strong as knowing how to use what one has is stronger. Okay. In the elements or the houses of self, 3 points. That's fire. Houses of relations, 3 points. Air. So she has air in the houses that wasn't in the signs. 5 points concern. That's a really strong earth. It brings that the earth is the strongest, and 1 point rewards. So she could drive. There's a tendency to drive more and do what more has to be done than to collect rewards, than to be emotional. Okay. Yeah. Okay. This is just what when we looked at the elements in the signs, air was the weakest in terms of communication. But here, there's 3 points relationship. So there's certainly, when it comes down to practical things, the ability to communicate, express, it's strongly there, and the practical is strong on both sides. Okay. So that's basically it. Okay. What are we gonna do? Okay, boom. But before I look at the major events, I just want to go through some of the things in her natal chart. Okay, here we go. Cover this up for now. Okay, so with the natal chart, we had the moon as the handle of the bucket. So looking at the moon, the moon is really a key factor here. It's a very important factor. So it's the only point above the horizon, but because the bucket is all below, the main bucket part, the handle of the bucket, the focus is that moon. So everything gets pushed out to the moon. All the energies subjectively below the horizon are still being put out to that moon. That moon in the 10th house in Aries. Okay, so moon in Aries, impatient. It's active. I need to be active. I need to do things. Don't let me sit still. I got to make something happen. I got to do things. There's a need to be active, to be impulsive, to make things happen. Ruled by Mars. It's cardinal. It's cardinal fire. Daylight increasing. Daylight is greater. It's all the attitude is on go. Impulse. Now I got to do this. I got to run around. I got to make this. I got to do this. I got to take care of this. I got to do that. But it's in the 10th house. In the 10th house, there's a need for authority. There's a need, moon, for respect. There's a need to accomplish something. There's a need to be in charge, to be responsible for things. So you might see when the 10th house, well, you could turn a hobby into a career. But here, you could see the moon, there's a need to have a career, to have control, to have some authority, to do things, to be active doing things, and to be very competitive in that career. She isn't that a person who wants to be bored. She wants to make things happen. The moon can't just sit behind a desk. She's got to make things, got to be impulsively make things happen. There's got to be action. She needs action, but the action is above the horizon. So the only planet above the horizon is her moon. So her strong point is her career, not her friendship house, not the marriage and the sharing house. It's more in the 10th house of status. So you could say one person may say, I need to have a kid, I need to have a kid to have authority. But the moon here, it's squared by Saturn, it's trine by the sun. So her natural nature is to be enthusiastic and up and go, but it's squared by Saturn. So there's a serious side, a practical serious side from Saturn in the 6th. So there's a need, I want to work, I'm going to have to take care of myself. I don't want to need anybody else. I want to do my own thing. Don't tell me what I can do. And her ability to need to be working at some, do anything any guy could do, to do anything to make things happen. She needs authority and power. When she has it, she'll use it. When she doesn't, she'll drive for it. And she's capable of doing the Saturn squaring the Saturn Capricorn squaring that moon adds some restraint, adds some pause, makes it a bit more efficient or more practical. Certainly not the sympathetic moon. It's the efficient moon. It's the achieving moon. It's the need to do things, to pull things off. Let me do this for you. Let me make this. Let me take care of this. I got to do this. There's a need to put that energy out. Okay. So that's important. It's highlighted by the moon phase, by the handle, and being the only thing above the horizon. It's doubly so. And that it's close to the ascendant, the midheaven, the highest point in the chart. These are three things that put strong accentuation on this moon, on this need. If she were a mom, she would have to control it. This is it. If she were in her relationship with mom, there'd be probably competitive issues as who's doing what or having to prove things. It's not like there is an inhibition with that Saturn to the moon. It restricts the feelings somewhat, or it makes it, the inhibition forces an ambition. So there's an inhibition, ambition tied up to the moon in the 10th house. So in practical ways, taking care of herself is an important issue. Her Cancer ascendant's tied into the moon. Her sense of security and personality is going to be tied into it. So she needs to feel she's doing things. She would have trouble with criticism or challenges at work. Like the challenges she could deal with, criticism or put down, she wouldn't be able to deal with. She's too competitive. She would be very assertive. Okay, so this is not someone who's going to need a job sitting behind a desk and just being a secretary for someone. Could be sales, could be something, but there's going to be some push to make something happen. Okay, could be a family business. It could be, you think, maybe restaurant, maybe, but she needs to be the active driving one to make things happen. But there is, the Saturn brings a practical aspect to it, as somewhat inhibit a reserved aspect. Okay. Just running through each of the planets so we get a sense of it. We look at her Mercury, the way she thinks her Mercury is conjunct. Okay, the other thing about the moon, this is someone who could turn a hobby into a career, or could live for work. That's that moon up in that 10th house. Her Mercury is in the 2nd house, in Leo. Mercury in Leo conjunct, it's conjunct Uranus and square Jupiter. So the square Jupiter can make things can exaggerate and can be doing too much or planning too much, or it's fixed. I'm going to do this, I got to do this, but it expands the options for the mind of things I want to do. But the Mercury conjunct Uranus, that's a brilliant thinker. That's a person who's trying to think independently, out of the box, on their own. So she's going to think very clearly, but she'll run into some struggles of, what do you call it? There'll be conflicts of understanding. She knows what she has to do to go the excitement, understanding the implications of it. She's a little bit more, her nature by thinking is fairly radical because of the Uranus and the need to understand that need to be different. And that's going to make her feel, most people don't think like this. So she's going to be high strung and quick thinking. And we already saw it because of the projective side. So it's great for astrology but it's not your normal common thinker. There's a need for excellence, for special thinking, for communicating, and it's all in Leo. So there's a need to be best or good at what one does or how one expresses oneself, and to express itself freely. Don't tell me how to think. Don't tell me what to. So the moon says, don't tell me what to do. The Mercury, I think in my way. I know how to think. Don't tell me how to think. There's a need for excitement. Or I shouldn't say a need, there's just a natural excitement in the way that looking at things. Oh, there's this, oh, these what am I going to do? What's happening? So in making plans, her instinct, the moon, is a little more cautious, but her thinking is always pushing the edge to go beyond the limits of the Saturn moon, of the memories. Memories have a strong influence, but they have the Saturn aspect. Mercury has the conjunction. It's square to do with the conjunction. So she'd get frustrated if someone says, oh, I don't think you're right, or someone accused her of not knowing what she's talking about. She would go prove it. Yeah, go prove it. She's got the I, me thinking. And the radical, like, again, this is great for astrology, looking at seeing things from your own way, being able to shine, being able to write, being able to express things. But it's not necessarily the best mediator. It's more a person who's got to put the ideas out herself. Okay, so that's not, I wouldn't consider a hugely negative thing. It's just an insight. The Venus is in Virgo, and the Venus has no bad aspects to it. It's close to Mars, not conjuncted. Venus is sextile to Neptune and trine to Saturn. There's no negative aspects. So Venus is unafflicted in Virgo. Venus in Virgo is a little prudish, a little fussy, a little meticulous. What I want, a bit fussy, but what I want, how I like to say, how I like to see things intricate. But there's a need to express what I want. And here, someone could be self-critical, a little more shy, a little more reserved about expressing what one wants. But when she does express what she likes, this is someone easily you could see being the designer, or thinking clearly and getting design, being appreciated. She would need to be appreciated for how she thinks and for how she expresses herself. She like for her to write a book and be appreciated for it, that would be a huge thing. But she might think, I'm not good enough, I'm not good enough. She had the self-critical Virgo. So it's still practical. I got to make money. What am I going to do next? Where I'm going to go there. So the Venus is not afflicted, so it's not a problem. But it's in the third house, so needing people. If she's in a club and people are listening to her, she'll buy the drinks. Yeah, I'm doing this, and people are liking what she has to say. She's going to shine in that. It's going to get the appreciation, get the expression going. It's going to get her. That's ruled by Mercury. Mercury's going to start thinking independently. It's ruled by the Sun. It's going to build up the confidence to express herself more. When we look at the Sun, there's a Sun in Leo in the first house. You have the Cancer ascendant, so a sensitive person, but you have the Sun in the first house. This is a proud, sensitive, but proud and creative. I'm going to be somebody. This is a leader, not a follower. Sun in Leo in the first house. Ta-da, I'm the best kid. Here I am. I want to be best. I want to be known. I want to make a name for myself. See, if someone wants to make a name for himself, but needs authority and needs responsibility and needs to be in control. Sun and Moon trine each other. They're working well with each other. But her Sun squares her Neptune. So this is a difficult aspect from the fourth house. So when Neptune squares the Sun, there's going to be a confusion. Something's not as it seems. There's some confusion, some sorrow, some guilt, or some over-dedication, some dedication that comes in and affects her simple glory. I want to do this, but then there's going to be some needs, some complications, some place to help her. So in one way, it can be over-dedicated to a cause or to work. Another would be over-dedicated to a person.